What's going on, guys? It's Micah with Fantasizing, where we bring you up to speed on all things fantasy football. As always, please subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Also, I'd love to see if you agree or disagree with my list. Leave a comment and let's talk about it. Today, I'm excited to bring you a Dynasty special on my top 10 Dynasty rookies. I want to preface my list if you're new to Dynasty and remind you that you are a GM. And there's two basic types of GMs. The first one bases drafting style on team need, and the second one bases drafting style on the best overall player. The one that drafts best overall is going to make trades down the road to balance their roster. These 10 rookies are my best overall rookies, and I made this list with a variety of factors in mind: age, immediate impact, bust potential, future potential, and where they were drafted. Now let's dive in. At number 10, we have Keyshawn Vaughn, who was drafted by the Tampa Bay Bucks. A lot of people aren't as high on Vaughn as I am. The truth is, he was on really bad teams at Vanderbilt and didn't get the attention that he deserved. But on bad teams, averaged over 1,100 yards on the ground, and this past season really broke out as a receiver, catching almost 30 balls for 270 yards and another score. Tim Horton, Vaughn's running back coach at Vanderbilt, said that he was a pro before he was a pro, referencing his work ethic. He goes on to say that he worked really hard on his pass catching in his senior season, but also his pass blocking, and these two traits are what I believe Bruce Arians is looking for. If you remember, Ronald Jones missed an important pass block that led to Arians benching him for the entirety of a game. I don't believe Arians is sold on Ronald Jones, and don't be surprised to see Vaughn as the starter as soon as next season. At his worst, he's a PPR-dependent flex, much like James White, but at his best, he could easily be an RB2. At number 9, we have Henry Ruggs, who was drafted by John Gruden and those Las Vegas Raiders. Ruggs is going to have his opportunity in Vegas, and with a 4.27 40 time, is the third fastest wide receiver in the NFL. I love Ruggs' speed and I love his ability after the catch. Expect the Raiders to try to go over the top a lot more than last season, but contrary to what people are thinking, this is not where Ruggs will make his living. I'm expecting the Raiders to put him in situations where he can get the ball early and go. Expect to see them use wide receiver reverses, drag routes to expose slower cornerbacks and safeties, and wide receiver screens. At his worst, he's a spot start flex, but with the right coaching, can easily be a top 24 wide receiver. At number 8, we have Jalen Reagor, who was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a guy that I'm really excited about where he landed. Wentz has a beautiful deep ball, and Reagor can play out wide and in the slot. Not to mention, he's dynamite after the catch. In fact, in the past 2 seasons, he generated an explosive play of 15 plus yards on 51.6% of his total catches. That was good for number 2 in the entire NCAA and over 20 percentage points more than average. His worst is being a flex, but his best is a high-end wide receiver 2 in the future. At number 7, we have CeeDee Lamb, who was drafted by America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Over the past 3 seasons, he was honestly one of the best playmakers in college football, averaging almost 1,100 yards a season and a little more than 10 touchdowns. I don't love the immediate opportunity with 2 established 1,000-yard receivers, but he will be in a situation long-term that will be good for him. The Cowboys can evaluate him after 2 seasons and see if he's the guy. Although Amari Cooper's contract was a 5-year, $100 million deal, they can get out of that deal in 2022 if things aren't going smoothly. He most likely won't perform to your liking the next 2 seasons, but his future is extremely bright. His worst is a wide receiver 3/flex campaign, but I believe he'll end up being a top 15 guy. At number 6, we have Cam Akers. I love his immediate opportunity and I love his landing spot. Jared Goff is at his best when the Rams establish the run and can go play action. Cam Akers is going to be the starting running back of this Rams backfield for a long time. I know the first question you ask is about Darrell Henderson, and I totally understand that. But if Sean McVay believes he's the guy, they don't draft Akers in the second round. For more stats, go check out my first video, titled 5 Must-Draft Rookies. At his worst, Akers is a solid flex play this season. But going forward, I believe he could be a top 15 back. At number 5, we have Jerry Jeudy, who was drafted by the Denver Broncos. So he is my favorite wide receiver in this draft. Jeudy has really good hands, is great after the catch, and is an elite route runner, which is the best skill to translate to the NFL. I agree with Nick Saban. I believe Jeudy gets on the level of Julio and Amari Cooper. At his worst, early, he'll be a wide receiver 3 or flex. But I guarantee he develops into a wide receiver 1 down the road. At number 4, we have DeAndre Swift, who was drafted by the Detroit Lions. Now we're getting into my holy grail of fantasy players, potential RB1s. Want to win championships? These next 4 guys have the best potential to get you there. I love DeAndre Swift. Coming into the draft, most scouts talent-wise believe he was the number 1 or number 2 running back. But fit-wise, there aren't too many worse-run franchises than Detroit. They haven't had a Pro Bowl running back since Barry Sanders in 1997. Here's the good news. DeAndre Swift is the most talented back in Detroit since Barry Sanders. He has speed, elusiveness, and that rare ability to make defenders look stupid. He's also a really good receiving back. Look for Matthew Stafford, who wants to take as few hits as possible with his injury history to dump it off to Swift some and watch him take off. This season, he'll split time with Carry-On, but I think he takes the lead role and finishes the season as a low-end RB2. The future is his though. He'll lead this backfield for a long time, and he will be a top 12 back down the road. At number 3, we have J.K. Dobbins, who was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. Contrary to Swift, I love Dobbins' landing spot. Baltimore is excellently run, and he goes to a team that was the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL last season. Many scouts believe that Dobbins was actually the most complete running back in the draft, and here's why. In 3 seasons at Ohio State, he averaged just under 1,500 yards a season on the ground, and added 215 more yards a season in the air. But what I love most about Dobbins is his nose for the end zone. In 3 seasons, he had a combined 43 touchdowns. That means he was almost averaging 15 touchdowns a season. What's even more exciting is that he goes to a high-functioning offense like the Ravens, and he has the current MVP Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson would not be the Lamar Jackson we know today if he didn't get paired with Harbaugh and the Ravens. You can expect the pairing to be beneficial for Dobbins as well. He probably won't be playable in most leagues next season, but we have to remember Mark Ingram is in his 30s, which means that Dobbins could see the starting role as soon as next season. Dobbins is a future top 12 running back. At number 2, we have Jonathan Taylor, who was drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. This was my favorite running back coming into the draft, and I love his landing spot as well. Chris Ballard, the GM for the Colts, has already hinted that they aren't going to re-sign Marlon Mack. That means the backfield is Jonathan Taylor's for at least 3 years. Going back to college, he averaged 2,000 yards a season on the ground and has the 6th most rushing yards in the history of college football. My favorite stat is that he said in an interview with Colin Cowherd that he never missed a game or a practice due to injury. Next season, he splits time with Marlon Mack, but after that, he's a top 12 back. Last but not least, at number 1, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. This one is pretty simple. There isn't a better fit for a running back than with the Kansas City Chiefs. Edwards-Helaire dominated the SEC in both rushing and receiving, and was a huge part of LSU's national championship run. The Chiefs spent a first-round pick on him, and if you watched my last video, you know that Andy Reid really wanted Edwards-Helaire. But what I didn't know was that Andy Reid asked Mahomes on draft night who he wanted to take with their first-round pick, and Mahomes texted him back with one simple word: Clyde. Next season, I think Damian Williams starts the season for around 4 to 6 games. After that, I think Edwards-Helaire takes over and finishes as an RB2 in his first season. Beyond that, he's a guaranteed top 12 back. If Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid want you, you're special. I'm all in on Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Hey y'all, Alex here, editor-at-large at Fantasizing. Just wanted to thank you for checking out our content. We try and put out content 2 to 3 times a week, so make sure you're subscribed. Comment if you hated what Mike had to say. Comment if you liked what he had to say. Comment if you have nothing to say. We want to hear from you. If you really like what we're doing and you'd like to support us, you can find us at Patreon. That's patreon.com/fantasizingfootball. Thanks, and until next time.